Alrighty. Greetings, 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 dear Capricorn. This is you, and this is Tarot Lumination, and this is your mini general report for August 2018. We're using the that beating heart spread because it's very broad and wide and goes from wide down to the very core of you, at the very heart center of you. The heart needs what it needs, it wants what it wants, and it's up to you, Capricorn, to know that and honor that and respect that. The greater disparity between your conscious self and the heart self, the more it's challenging life can become. Let's before I get into it, I want to pull out these notes here because I've been sharing these with the others too. Let's have a look. Here we are. So have a look. I tried to keep it very, very simple. These are just Tarot Lumination Astro Doodles. And people seem to like it. I think of it as like a little appetizer for the reading. These are my personal notes, and it helps get through, and sometimes they get quite messy. So this is for you, Capricorn. It's for August 2018, and the big event during the month, as far as Tarot Illumination is concerned, is the new moon eclipse on August the 11th. So there are other things going on. There's a lot of retrograde planets, which can make things feel like you're just doing a lot of reviews and rewinds, repairs and maintenance kind of thing, when you'd rather be charging forward. The key date is August 11th, and it's all happening up here in what's called your 8th house. This is, it's a house of intimacy. So you can imagine Sun, Moon, Mercury, and North Node are all there. It's like this pressure to evolve and grow and be your brightest, most loving and loved self up here in this part of your life. So what does that include? Other people's money, other people's resources, sex, death, taxes, all the classic scorpionic energies. Going deeper into intimacy, shared resources, the kind of sharing when people bond and they make a new human being. That's as close as you can get to another human being. To actually, you actually have to do that to create new human beings. And also this, what I think of as deep soul vibrational energy healing that happens at this part of the chart. This is like going very, very deep. It's deep into the soul, where a lot of people think they would like to go, but in fact, a lot of people are scared to go because of what it involves. It involves going into the scariest place of the self in many ways, and taking the maximum risk of exposing yourself in your most vulnerable ways to a significant other in the most vulnerable ways, hopefully for the best outcomes. It's kind of like the energy, like when you get married, okay, that's great, but then what happens with all the money? And then what happens with the relationship dynamics and the behavior? All sorts of things happen that are at the very intimate level. And it can be very, very transformational, very changing if you've entered into those kind of relationships unaware of what happens at the deep soul level in a relationship. Also, just for kicks, coming out at the end of July, we had a really, really challenging full moon Leo Aquarius eclipse. It didn't hit you directly, but I made a slight shadowy mark here in how it affects your 5th house of like true love over here. And I thought that might be of interest to you. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that on August 23rd, it's almost nothing to do with the Leo, with the like the Leo season that we're in here with August. We have a huge Capricorn stellium, okay? That you might be interested to know that. So it's right here in this part of your house. It's like an indication of like, who am I really? What am I actually becoming? And it's probably very, very deep and profound because Pluto's there and Saturn is there, and I believe the moon will be there. So, that's a lot for anybody to handle. Sorry, I don't think it's the moon, forgive me. So this might be a very, very sensitive time for you with all this Capricorn stellium right here and the new moon eclipse right here. So with eclipses, what is being eclipsed out of your life regarding the deepest, most loving intimacies? you're sharing your love with another sharing their love with you. They're full on resources, everything, their finances, everything. And what is being eclipsed into your life? Beginnings and endings. It's a very powerful eclipse, and the one before was very powerful. So it might have been quite painful, quite choppy in some ways, and it's not over, okay? Please allow till the end of September for things to settle a little bit. So I'm just keeping it very loose, okay? I'm not trying to do astrology analysis here or anything like that. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an appetizer here. Cards are well shuffled in advance, but I like to go to the last second so that you're a witness. Please watch for your sun, moon, and rising, especially if each one is different. Then reinterpret everything how you feel is best for you. You know, you're smart, you can figure it out. Also, please bring in your invisible friends, your spirit guides. That's what we do here at Tarot Lumination. It is kind of a group team effort, okay? So let's just see what happens. Please, please, no jumpers, no pliers, no oracles, no reversals. We're just going to keep it very simple. And just so that you know, things were very, very challenging with Tarot Illumination in general through the eclipse, and the eclipse is coming. And so if the readings and things feel very choppy or like unstable in some way, it's because I have to live through energies just like you guys, okay? So bless this deck. Bless you, dear viewer. Bless the internet and all the channeling and YouTube stuff that does all this so we can actually connect and do these beautiful things. Here is the very core heart energy of you. Think of it as like a pulsing beat. It's very raw. It's very primal. Without this, there's nothing. Nothing. You can have all your other chakras in perfect tune, but without this, there's nothing. So that needs to be accounted for. And we're looking at a very broad spectrum here coming down here. These are not specialized readings for like life purpose or what's the future or anything like that. It's very broad spectrum from the heart. On the understanding the heart needs what it needs, wants what it wants, and it's up to you to understand that, provide that, and grow from there, because from here, the aura is created most powerfully. What are you bringing in with you? Think of this as legacy. Are you being shaken, rattled, and rolled from the eclipses? Is it past life issues? Are you riding high? Are you doing well? Is it like a life well lived? Over here, the energy of the ever-present now, where we own our power, but it sometimes can be the most difficult place to be because it means being utterly present with reality, nothing mattering too much from before, nothing matter too much about what lies ahead, but just what is happening right now. Who are you right now? Who are you becoming right now? What are the decisions that you are making right now? How are you presenting yourself? How are you like presenting yourself to the world, and how do others perceive you right now as all the transformation and shifting is happening with the heavy Pluto and Saturn emphasis, okay? A lot of Capricorns are under a lot of pressure, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's very deep, heavy, slow kind of pressure. So it is in the now, in the present, where you tap into your power through the healing power of your decisions. Like no matter what's going on, no matter how rough it is, make decisions as opposed to just letting stuff happen. So how do you do that effectively? So that it works for you. What is most loving for you? What is the most loving decision you can make for yourself right now? Because that's what's best for your heart, which is best for you, which is best for your loved ones, which is best for your wider community, which is best for the whole world. You'll see in a moment. So when we do that, when we stay in our power as much as we can, then we make decisions accordingly. We generate consequence, hopefully positive, loving consequences. And over here, of course, there's always the possibilities. We're sort of always looking, because we're humans, we're programmed to anticipate danger and figure out solutions. That's kind of what our brain does. So what happens if we mess up? What are we losing? What happens if we do a good job? How is that working for you? Over here, prospects and momentum, going through to the next beat, the next pulse. So I'm hoping you see that this is like a heart shape and everything is going like that. pumping nutrients to you, removing toxins away from you. I'm not just talking physiological, I'm talking spiritual, psychic, emotional relationships, your relationship with heaven and angels in the world around you, your relationship with your loved ones, your relationship primarily with yourself here, of course. And that creates an aura, and the aura is continuously in flux. It's a highly, highly specific thing. The aura literally changes as you change. You become shocked and frightened, your aura instantly changes. You become ecstatically happy, your aura instantly changes. And so on. Over here, we're going to look at circumstantial energy, what is around you. Remember, we're always swimming in love, even though it might not feel that way or look that way. It is there. It's up to us. What are we going to do with that? Okay, so judgment here. We have, this is like a great release. This is almost like a passing. Um, I recently just lost my dearest friend over the weekend, and it's like a tremendous sense of liberation and freedom for him. I feel very closely bound with him now, even in spirit, that he's gone. And so I feel this for you, Capricorn, is in such a way that circumstantially around you, there's this tremendous releasing and liberation. And uh, it's almost shocking in that it opens up a whole new life for you where it kind of doesn't matter what happened in the past. Like there's no say in it anymore. It doesn't even matter. All that counts is right now, uh, being forgiven and forgiving others, blessing and being blessed, loving and being loved. And they understand that you know how this works, and you get a chance to start your whole life again. Maybe it's happening reluctantly, or maybe it's happening with a tremendous sense of relief, and um, like having been stripped down to zero and nowhere else to go but up from here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the core heart center here. Okay. Wow, more arcana. So with the star card, my feeling here is that no matter what's happening with you right now, Capricorn, no matter how traumatic, no matter how beautiful, no matter how disorienting, no matter whether it's deserving or not, or whether you feel as though like you're being judged, you could possibly feel that way, but ultimately this is for your benefit. It's like literally a massive alarm bell saying, it's over, people. It's over. Life as you knew it is over, and you are forgiven, blessed, and redeemed. It's almost like when you go into like bankruptcy, the judge says, you know what? You're free. You're free to go. Just don't make that mistake again, okay? You can start your whole life from scratch again. And going forward, your heart, to me it feels is almost has been stripped down and pounded into almost like how they make diamonds, uh, where they take all the gravel and dirt and grit of life, and you can crush it and crush it and crush it, and then you turn that into a diamond. Okay, my feeling here is that with the star card, that's kind of what's happening here to you in some way, Capricorn. You're being crushed, crushed and pulverized in a very, very high pressure life situation, uh, where things are being taken to the very, very extremes, and you're having to survive living purely on divine guidance, understanding that there is something bigger and more big and beautiful out there that is always perfect, always good, and always there for you. And it's just the question, are you willing to look up? The very humble act of looking up and asking for help, asking for divine guidance, asking for protection, uh, knowing that it will be received. But sometimes it's very hard to do that because our ego gets in the way and we think, oh my, I have to figure out my life. But that's a very narrow perspective. With the star card here, to me, it feels like the heart is being blown open to an awareness that there is something much bigger and more beautiful than you could have ever imagined out there. And sometimes this awakening only can happen in the most crushing circumstances and conditions. So it's kind of rude, but it's evolution. Okay, sometimes evolution is not pretty. So let's have a look. What are you bringing in with you? True love. Okay, maybe this is your legacy. Maybe you're one of these extremely rare people who's had the chance to know this, have this, be this, live this with another. where it's very pure, it's very, very simple. It's like this is the only thing that counts. To me, this is a beautiful card. To me, it's an indication that you know what this is, Capricorn. You know what it's like to love and be loved in the purest sense. Uh, no conditions, no pre-qualifiers, just pure love. And then what do you do with that? Because this is like, to me, this is like historical. And it's great that you have this, but what about the present? What about now? You know, with the Plutonic energies happening over here and the Saturn energies over here, that's a tremendous amount of pressure. Pluto tends to just blow everything up and rip away, and kind of like what happens in erosion, like deep, deep, deep level erosion. You don't know it's happening, but it's happening. And then all of a sudden, one day, you get an earthquake. For example, Uranus in Taurus right here in your fifth house of romance, for example. You might have had a very, very shocking experience in terms of love and true love, where uh, the intensity has reached a maximum. Someone's arrived or someone is leaving. Someone has departed and leaving a vacuum. Someone new is coming. Something new in some way, shape, or another. And the Uranus in Taurus is quite harmonious with the Capricorn, of course, but the Uranus in Taurus is in extreme harsh angles with the Leo Aquarius axis here. I'm just going to, give me a second. Sorry, this is getting a bit involved. It kind of hits a nerve with me, so I am having to play with it over here. Okay. Now, this is not a love and relationship reading, even though the energy of love is very strongly emphasized here. Maybe it's historical, maybe it's from the past or past life, something like that. But with the Leo Aquarius axis here that just happened in your second, eighth house, regarding money, your money, their money, and your money, and how that has affected you in love and relationship and romance. Not the marriage per se, but over here, uh, actually, yes. Gosh, sorry, I'm getting really involved because of the Cancer new moon eclipse that just happened over here in your seventh house. You might have had a very, very serious, almost amazing or traumatic event that happened in your love and relationship that set things up for a very challenging uh, experience here in August. How that translates to you, that's your own business. But all I'm suggesting here is that the angles and the experiences of the eclipses have put tremendous pressure on, like, the marriage axis, the self and the other and the self, and from there going deeper into your shared resources of self and other and self. And how does that play out in your love life? Now, there is a separate playlist, of course, for love and relationship, but this is broad spirit. It just seems to be very connected with love and relationship. What about now? Let's have a look. Okay, well, my feeling here with the King of Swords is that you're doing an extremely good job in very challenging circumstances, to the point where you are having to rise up to new levels of mastery in your own skills and knowledge sets of how to deal with life, from a very, very, like, strict, pure uh, perspective, using higher knowledge and wisdom to get through whatever is happening to you here in terms of the eclipses, the massive eclipse energies of what is being removed from your life and what is coming into your life down the road. And it's at a point where the pressure could be so extreme that it might make sense to reach out and get professional counsel. Okay, like with being with someone who can help you get through things. Okay, someone that you can trust. In return, maybe you can offer that trust and counsel to others one day. But it looks like right now it's very, very important to like maintain the integrity, maintain the truth, maintain the honesty in who you are, how you are, no matter how much pressure is upon you right now, because there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. I think this Judgment card is very closely aligned with the eclipses, uh, endings and beginnings, radical endings, radical new beginnings, where the heart is basically saying, you know what? There's nothing we can do about this because this is bigger than us, and so we need to go with the guidance and the flow and understand what is love going to mean here going down the road. How are you going to make decisions? What's the energy like field of your decision making? Because it's here in the present, in the now, where you might have to be very, very steadfast and very, very authoritative with yourself in terms of love and relationship. Your resources shared with the other, and their resources shared with you, because this pressure is going to become really maxed out on August 11th, and this is going to have months of like aftershock to deal with. So I know this is one little reading for August 2018, but I feel like we're dealing with ripple effects and aftershocks from July, and we're going to have the shocks and awes of the eclipse in August, and then that's going to have aftershock effects into September. I feel I have to voice that to you. Making decisions, okay, always make love the number one priority. This has been coming up a lot in readings lately. I'm not sure why, but it has. I just thought I'd let you know. So, like when you're in your power, when you're in the zone, when you're fully aware of like the extremes of what's happened or what's happening, the extremes of change and shift and transformation that are happening with you here, what happened with you in your most intimate personal relationship, what was eclipsed in, what is eclipsed out, what does that all mean for you? Because it might take a tremendous amount of like deep uh, body energy, body, mind, heart, and soul energy, all combined into one, like your whole life energy, focused on uh, always making the decision to love thyself first, because it could be so easy to be distracted from the seriousness and the intensity of what we're dealing with here, and then finding ways to avoid dealing with it, which of course would put you in a position where you'd be losing out on love thyself. So the Knight of Cups is an indication here. To me, it feels like removing yourself from the conflict, understanding the conflict, refusing to get sucked into any shadow or negative or aspects of the conflict, and flipping it around, transforming it uh, through the crushing energy of an experience, and turning it into love, turning it into diamond, turning it into gold. So in order to love thyself, it's very, very important right now to love thyself. Bring what is the most loving thing you can do for you right now, and how are you going to do that? How do we do that? Okay. To me, it feels like accepting that you might be in a very, let's say, mentally very challenging situation right now. Like, okay, there's all the love here that you've had, that you've carried. You know what this is now. One of the challenges with the little Two of Cups in this position is that where do you go from here? Once you've had this, once you know this, if this is what is being eclipsed in or what is being eclipsed out, it's challenging. If this is eclipsed out because it's legacy, it's past, it's historical, then what's coming, we don't know here. I'm not going to predict your future, but my feeling is it requires a tremendous amount of astute awareness in the present, in the now, dealing with everything very, 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 in very classic Capricorn ways, like in a very managerial, methodical way. Uh, Understanding that it is kind of a maze, it is kind of a puzzle, and it is kind of challenging, but there's only one thing to do here. What is the most loving thing you can do for you right now? Because that's what's best for you, which is what's best for your loved one, which is best for your loved ones, which creates the best aura for you and from out of you, which is best for the world. Okay, so that you are fully aware of all the challenges around you, and you can insulate yourself, but it does not mean that there's any harm here. It just means being very, very careful as you very, very methodically move your way through the maze of what is going to be happening with you here in August. It may feel very much like a very, very complicated maze. like puzzle solving, very challenging. Okay, so that would lead to consequences. Okay, again, with the Seven of Swords here, my feeling is to like be aware of how precarious things are, about how delicate this is. I mean, this is just a piece of paper from Tarot Lumination. It's a little astro doodle, and it might not mean very much to you, and it's hard enough for me to interpret my own notes. But my feeling here is that with this Leo Aquarius eclipse at the end of July here, and with the Cancer Capricorn new moon eclipse in the middle of the July, and with the Leo new moon eclipse here August 11th, that's three major eclipses in a row. I'd That's an awful lot to handle. That's a huge amounts of like radical shifting where there's no reversals. It's put a lot of pressure on you here, Capricorn. And so it makes me feel like you're extremely, with all these swords here, it makes me feel that you're extremely vulnerable to like skidding off the road, off the path. And even though you've kind of got this divine blessings energy here, to me it feels like the heart is asking for that. It's almost like the heart is asking you to ask for divine guidance. Okay, it's here, it's anyway, but it's out there and it needs to be funneled into your life by invitation. So if you're a very, very practical person and you're not used to turning to heaven or God or angels or anything to get that extra healing power of love that you need in your life, this could be very difficult. A lot of people want to solve their problems thinking that they can manage their lives, but sometimes the best thing to do is surrender to divine timing, divine guidance, and let uh, let nature do its work. So as the ego faces this, it could put you in a spot where you, the person, become very, very challenged within yourself, where you could be cursing yourself for anything and everything that went wrong, and you could applaud yourself for anything and everything that's working, which is great. But the challenge is there could be a preponderance of things that have been very challenging that have gone wrong because simply because these eclipses are so challenging and they happened in very, very challenging parts of your life. And by the way, the Cancer Capricorn eclipses are going to be a big theme for 2019. So you might have already got a kind of a heads up here. So my feeling with the Seven of Swords is you create a situation where it becomes blindingly obvious that you have to be extremely careful. Thoughts are things, like just one like slight slip of the tongue, slip of your attention, your focus. Remember, energy flows where attention goes. Like if you take your eye off what absolutely has to be done in how you conduct yourself and live through this month in order to honor, respect, and let's say carry on the legacy of love, this kind of amazing love that you've known, how do you keep that moving forward? It requires conscious, deliberate choices and decisions to do that, on the understanding that it is challenging. But my feeling here with the Seven of Swords is you're going to find out how truly challenging this is. So I'm not trying to paint a really grim doom and gloom picture here for August. All I'm suggesting is that some of these pressures here are very, very extreme, okay? And it's better to be prepared, okay? So it's like, in other words, to me, it's like prepare for black ice. Now, wherever you are in the world, I don't know if you know what black ice is, but please be aware that what's happening is here is you're learning what you do, how to love and be loved by starting with yourself first, and whatever circumstances happen in your life with love, with relationship, with your environment, with the eclipses, the saying goodbye and the saying hello forever and ever. Uh, it's still in play and it's very, very precarious, and you need to be fully consciously aware of that in other words, this energy here should be a very, very loud calling sign for you to tap into divine guidance deliberately so that you don't skid out, you don't end up in a roadside ditch. So what happens if you neglect yourself, if you do even the slightest thing that is self-undoing, like wallowing in misery or getting sidetracked or getting consumed by goals, ambitions, desires, tasks, missions, and purposes, as opposed to the pure and simple stuff of love. What happens if you mess up? Okay, well, it's kind of, it leads to more mess up. It kind of just gets worse here. Now, like with the eclipses, there's no point in trying to retrieve what cannot be retrieved. So my feeling here, like when you tune into this stuff, you understand the like that this is like a formula. This is kind of a process of how to get through the month. Uh, Call it your mission, your your journey ahead for you, beat by beat, beat by beat of the heart. Think of it like almost like being on a big hike here. When you are in the zone and you do love yourself, you become starkly aware. Okay, I'm trying to make sure you can see that quite well. You become starkly aware that you have no choice except to move on. No matter what the love, no matter how much love was invested in the past, or the legacy of love that you've already enjoyed, the legacy of love that you enjoy, the legacy of love that you do know, history does change. Time moves on. It's very much a ticking clock here. Capricorn is very aware of time. Saturn is your ruling planet. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and so on. It's an understanding that it's almost like the pressure here with the eclipses is designed in a way to very forcefully, well, not very forcefully, but irrevocably move you forward on your own journey of your life, not the life that you've shared with another at the deep soul level, uh, not the life that you think you're supposed to have, but the life that is there for you in deep spirit, so to speak, like your deep divine, most profound spiritual pathway. And the only way this can happen sometimes is by the removal, the brutal removal of anything and everything that uh, is no longer appropriate for that pathway going forward. So it might feel uncomfortable when you come to the awareness and you are tuning into it. It's almost like how tragedy is the precursor of joy, and out of the bad comes the good. And this is very good. This is very good for you. Think of it as divine guidance in action, divine guidance actually in play. Prospects, okay? So to me, it takes you onto, to me, it feels like very new territory. Like as you come out through these eclipses through August and towards the end of September, I have a feeling you will inevitably get to a point where you realize, oh my God, I am my own individual being. I am my own unique self. I am valuable. I have lived a life. You know, people make decisions. Living a good life is often the consequence of millions of good effective decisions, deliberately choosing healthy habits, and so on and so on. So you can create these kind of prospects. So this feeds on itself. To me, this feels very challenging, in some ways very unwelcome, but necessary in order to survive, knowing that things are very precarious right now, knowing that you're going to be facing some very, very rattling, tumultuous kind of deep soul shifts and soul changes going forward for you. But there's no point in fighting it, so you might as well go forward with it because it will bring you into a place that Capricorns truly love to be, which is abundant and independent, their own masters, so to speak, without having to apologize in such a way that you can simply enjoy being your newly evolved self. So, unlike a lot of the readings, I feel that this kind of has a really broad spectrum to it. Just a little bit before August, a little bit after August, and maybe some aftershocks from there. So, please, I hope you can see this from a very wide perspective, okay? And then extrapolate from there. But don't ever lose focus here in the present moment now. Stay deeply conscious in the moment, in the now. What's the most loving thing you can do for yourself? How are you going to do it? Be very, and then come to the realization that this is supposed to blow you up and wake you up to how delicate and precarious life is according to our decision. Just one decision can lead to like a downfall. One decision can lead to a bonus, a benefit. All right, let's leave it like that. You can reinterpret however you want. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings or scare you in any way. Uh, Thank you for visiting Terra Illumination. All the best, Capricorn. Thank you for being here. Bye bye. I know this went a bit long. I'm a bit wobbly right now, just letting you know. Bye bye.